This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, how deep a descent till I lose my head. Cue the music! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting, wonderful, splendiferous episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always are the Destructo Bros.
What's up? It's Nate.
This is Pilot Willie. Over.
And this week we have a fourth co-pilot in the squadron, if you will. He's returning from last week because he chose the game this week. Well, that is Jeffy Poo. Old Jeffy Lube, the man of many nicknames. How are you doing, buddy?
I am good. It's good to be back, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Splendiferous.
Wonderful. Splendiferous.
Damn, I just realized we could have done that one Family Guy joke that's like the extended version of that Star Wars scene. Red 5 chunking in. Red Fox jumping in. Red Skeleton
Red
chunking
October
in.
standing by.
Who's he? He's an asshole, sir. How many assholes are on this ship? I'm surrounded by assholes.
Aye!
Keep firing, assholes.
Keep firing, assholes!
Already off the rails. Gentlemen, how you been this week? Let's start with Willie. What you been up to?
Oh man, I've had a bad day today and I'm pissed off. Yo, let me just tell y'all, I know by the time this comes out, it's going to be too late. If you are a gig delivery driver and you get the option to do Walmart grocery orders during the holiday shopping season, just slice yourself from belly to groin with a katana instead, because you'll have a way better time. I spent the first 2 hours of my shift not getting paid because I sat at one Walmart for 30 minutes before they told me, hey, someone else picked up your order. Sorry, go home. You're not getting paid. Went to another one, and I spent another 30 minutes waiting before I finally flagged someone down who actually found my order. So it was a bad time. Don't do that.
Yeah, that sounds like a bummer, man.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, it was Super Bummerman, my favorite game in the Bummerman series.
Well, hopefully the episode cheers you up a little bit, bud. Anything else interesting happened over the past 2 weeks? Play anything good other than our game of the week?
Oh, yeah, I was about to start ranting. I'm like, oh, yeah, wait, this is the game I played. Damn. I don't think I've been playing that much new games lately, have I? I don't think I can think of anything. No. It's all out of my brain right now.
Well, then we'll move on to the other Destructo, bro. Nate, what you been up to the past 2 weeks, my good sir?
Yeah, man, it's been a pretty crazy couple weeks. Like, ended up booking a last-minute trip to Boston for this weekend that just passed, and had a good old time there. Like, we went to the Harvard Natural History Museum, got to see a lot of bones. That was really cool and fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just like, if you get a chance to go to like a natural history museum, if you like seeing skeletons and animals and things like that, just go and do it, because it's such a good time. And things like don't even think are that interesting when you think about them on a surface level, but you see them in real life. Like, all the different kinds of rocks and minerals like that they have at those places, they're like super cool. Because like, I wish I had better examples in my head, but like, you see two minerals that are the same mineral, but they form in completely different ways, and it's just like insane to see.
Damn, Nate, sounds like you're tearing up.
Jesus
Don't get
Christ.
sentimental.
All right, now this has been the Steam Machine Podcast. We'll be back at you guys next week with And then that night we went and saw the Broadway musical 6, which is really, really good. It's about King Henry VIII's 6 wives, and it's just really good. It's kind of like portrays all of them as like pop star kind of thing, and it's just like really well done and a really interesting way to portray the story of the 6 wives. Like, I really enjoyed it a lot. And then, yeah, it was great.
Sounds
like,
fun.
I really, really liked it a lot. The music was wonderful. And then the next day, we went to the Orchard House in Concord, Massachusetts, which is the home of Louisa May Alcott, the author of Little Women. And, you know, that's my wife's favorite book of all time. And then, of course, the Christmas book. So it's like the perfect time of year to go up there and just enjoy that. And we had this, I wish I remember the name of it, but we had this really good diner too. And I had this chicken pot pie there, which was just fantastic.
I fucking love chicken
Oh,
parm.
I know, dude. It was so good. And then we were planning on going out and doing some more stuff that night, but we were just kind of beat and like peopled out for the night. So we just kind of chilled at the hotel, and I just kind of slept on and off and played Pokemon on my Switch. So it was a really good vacation. It was nice to be back. And like, it was so funny because like, she was so concerned about it being so cold that she went to Target and bought me like this nice zip up like hoodie and like this hat and stuff. She's like, "You're going to be so warm there. I'm not going to let you get cold." And we got there and I was like, "Babe, it's warmer here than it was in Nashville." But I wasn't going to get cold, I'll tell you that much. I had plenty of warm clothes to keep me protected.
Hey man, that's two people I know that went to Boston in the past 2 weeks.
Dude, I loved it. Like I've never been to New England before, so it was like my first impression. And even though it was kind of rainy, like the whole time we were there, it was like great first impression for me. Like I just loved being down there. And I was like, it was so funny because like I did end up taking a walk at one point, and I was like, man, I haven't heard like a true Bostonian accent, like a real masshole just walking around. And it's like I just went for a walk downtown, and then I just out of the corner of my ear, I was like, "Yeah, that asshole over there." It was everything I could do to not laugh because it's like, "Yeah, that motherfucking asshole over there." It's like, I wanted to laugh so bad, but I was like, "No, I shouldn't. I better keep walking." But that was just so funny to me.
It does exist.
One, I wanted to ask you about that, but I kept forgetting to. But I wanted to know if you heard any great Massachusetts accents. Number two, you've never played Team Fortress 2, but you just did a perfect impression of the scout when you were impersonating that guy.
But no, dude, like I loved it so much because like I love regional accents, and like I'm not gonna lie, we stayed at kind of a bougie hotel, so everybody was on their best behavior for the most part while we were at the hotel and stuff. But like just walking around downtown, like Boston, actually hearing it in my own ears, like, this was a blessing.
That's like this lady I work with named Brandy. She's from New Hampshire, so she's got that
nice.
You know, yeah. Look at my car. Like she was like, "Look at the hood of my car. Somebody fucked up my car." Because there was a dent in her hood. This is fucking hilarious.
That's awesome.
I love it.
But yeah, man, it was a great trip. I highly recommend like just going to see Boston. It's like it's just nice. Like it's like the old style architecture everywhere. It's just like seeing all like these old historic buildings. It's just I just love that kind of stuff. So it's like really nice to go somewhere like that. Big New England fan now. Not of the Patriots, but you know, the area.
Oh yeah. It'd be cool to move up there one day. Like personally. Like I mean I like that whole like northeastern area. So yeah.
Feels like a place you could retire to.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Although no, most people go the other direction when they retire.
Dalton does not want to go to Florida when he retires. I promise you that much.
No. Dalton does not want to go to Florida. Oh, man. Anything else?
That'll cover me this week.
Yeah. What about you, Jeff? What you been up to since the last time we spoke to you, my good sir?
Apart from work, that's it. Just working.
I can fucking relate to that.
Apart from work, nothing.
Yeah, for real. I literally just bitched about work for my whole "What have you done this week" section, and it was just me bitching about today.
Well, it's just, I work in retail, so working at a store during Christmas time, it just brings out the lovely cheer in people.
I don't envy you and Dalton whatsoever.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and for what it's worth, I don't blame the people that were working at the Walmart for me getting fucked over by the Walmart situation. I blame the fucking management of Walmart for not hiring enough people to get this taken care of, or paying people well enough so they can hire them.
Yep.
Like, this is not down to Walmart grocery pickup guy. This is down to, Samuel
That's actually
Walmart.
really close to his name. Okay.
I know, it's Sam Walmart.
Good night, John boy. Good night, John. Damn it, can't a guy masturbate in peace in this house? One of the funniest jokes Family Guy ever did.
And now, Mr. Conway's movie.
Yeah, and that's another one. Will you just let him fucking rest in peace? Anyways,
Peter.
well, I guess that leaves me, right?
Yep.
Oh, God. I hope you don't really need to talk about work after your last podcast, but if you do, buddy, we're here to listen.
No, I'll leave ranting about work on Yab's pod because I don't want to use quite that bad of language on this show.
This is
Instead,
a G-rated show.
But it did sound like a rough one. This show's PG-13 to soft R.
The softest of ours.
We say the F word, but we don't go quite as far as the other one. To the point that, like, whenever I plug my other shows on the JRPG report, I just quickly run through YABSpot.
Don't listen to this one.
If
you listen to the JRPG report, you are not interested in YABSpot.
Pretty much, yeah. So over the past 2 weeks, I've just been like Jeff said, working a lot. Megan did come see me this past weekend, and we did like an early Christmas thing. Since we would like family stuff next weekend, and then she's going to be trying to move at the beginning of the year. So I got her a new mouse, some Disney Squishmallows. And then I got her, and this is the one that she yelled at me for, because she was like, "This costs too much money," and I was like, "Shut your mouth, enjoy it." And her favorite book series is ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I bought her the hardcover set of them.
Nice.
And I mean, it didn't break the bank. They weren't like mind-blowingly expensive, but like I just happened to get the one that she really, really wanted, and I didn't know which one she wanted, and then the one that comes with like the novella and stuff. So that got me some brownie points. She made, I'll have to post pictures of the things that she made for my mom and dad because they are beautiful, but I can actually show you what she made me, and then I can describe it.
Dalton is currently standing up. He's taking off his shirt for some reason. Oh, he's back. Okay.
I did post this in Pokemon, but she made me this.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. For sure.
That's fantastic.
Look at that Snorlax.
It's so fucking cool, man. And it's like well made and dense wood and stuff. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
And I cherish it. It now sits on my desk.
Snorlax is such a goals Pokemon.
I love Snorboy.
Yep. I suppose, just a reminder, last week was my birthday, and Virginia bought me a new tablet.
Nice.
Hey. Well, first and foremost, happy birthday.
Happy birthday if we didn't say it to you.
Well, you guys said it to me from last episode, but, I appreciate it. And I just wanted to let everyone...
Okay, well, if we already said it to you, then I'll undo that one. No more happy birthdays.
Fuck my birthday.
You.
Who cares?
They cancel each other out. It's okay.
But no, I just wanted to tell you what she got me, and I thought it was very nice.
Yeah, that is really nice.
Oh yeah, man. And then Willie made a joke about it at the very beginning of the Patreon, but now I'll say that so I came home on lunch break today, just frazzled because work's been busy as shit, and there's some packages sitting on the front door or on the front, like we have a chair set up by the front door, but they just put it on, and I walked in and my dad's like making cookies, and I'm like, dude, you just don't pay attention to who pulls in the yard anymore, do you? Because there are just two packages just chilling by the front door, and y'all are both home. So anyway, one was for him, one was for me. And turns out my brother sent me this here Shure microphone that I'm talking through right now. It's a MV7 podcast microphone.
Yeah, Dalton's just trying to outpace us on the sound department every week, man. Like, he can't just let it rest. He's just got to sound so much better than us.
Well, have you heard that voice?
Yeah, true. Good point.
Well, what's funny is that I'm currently recording on Audacity, and I looked up, and it's recording through my interface right now, and not through the microphone.
Nice.
So it's recording what I'm saying, but I don't know if it's going to sound as good on the recording. It might sound like normal on the recording, but to you guys, you get to hear the sultry new microphone tones.
Yeah, that ASMR deliciousness.
Oh, it just got hot in here.
Oh, God, stop it.
Oh, man.
This is the second time I've almost quit the podcast. This episode.
You wanted ASMR. I gave you beard ASMR. Yeah, man. It was a great weekend.
You put the ass in
we did
ASMR.
a standing rib roast, and we had like a nice, like, quote, Christmas dinner. We watched some movies. Have y'all heard of Gudetama?
Yeah, it's the little egg guy from Sanrio.
So he's got his own little show thing on Netflix now. It's 10 episodes long. They're each about 12 minutes. I highly recommend it to anyone. If you just want to sit down and then when it's all over, go, that was cute, but what the fuck did I just watch?
Is it about the same people that did the Agretsuko show?
I'm not sure. It's a 3D animation show mixed with real life.
Okay, so that doesn't sound like the same style at all.
But like, definitely, it's interesting enough to watch, and it's cute. Like, you could watch it with your kids because like it's definitely like a kids thing. But yeah, Gudetama, and it's just like this little egg yolk with a butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cute though. Recommend it. And I was gonna watch that movie Trolls and forgot. So there's that. And one other thing. I've been diving back into The Witcher 3 because that next gen upgrade came out and it's free to anyone who owns The Witcher 3. Including if you get a PS5 and you have the PS4 game, you can upgrade to the PS5 version for free.
Oh, that's really generous of them. Like, most people don't do that. Like, Skyrim would never.
Would never. CD Projekt Red's really quite cool about that. And, like, with this, too, they added in, like, some new quests that they designed that are based around the Netflix show. And I think there are some, like, costumes you can get that make you look like the stuff they wear in this Netflix show. And I don't know. It's just cool.
Nice.
It's beautiful. Holy fuck, it's gorgeous. Like, I told Jeremy, I was like, dude, if you were ever going to play The Witcher, and he's not interested in those kinds of games, I was like, but now would be the time, because you would have been like, oh, it looks like a PS4 game, it's dated. Nah, bro. Now it looks like a PS5 game, and that motherfucker is crisp.
See, now I'm glad I did not play it when you first sent it to me, Dalton, because now when I play it, it's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah.
The hunt is even wilder
I'm going to go ahead and warn you and Willie both. We are going to play The Witcher 3 sometime this year.
Good.
Or I guess this next year.
I'm down.
Yeah, clearly. Clearly not in 2022, Dalton.
There are no more game episodes this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this has been General Gaming News Corner with General Gamer.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Speaking of, so full disclosure with y'all, next week we'll be dropping the Steamy Awards. So we're going to be recording that at some point this week and dropping that next week as like a Christmas, New Year's type thing. And then let me clarify this real quick with you guys. I don't even care that we're doing it on there. Yeah. It is my choice, right? Or is it Nate's choice?
It's not mine, I'm pretty sure. Hold on. I'm going to go look at our pinned posts in.
Yeah.
All right. It is Dalton's pick for January 3rd.
All right.
Wait, January 3rd. So we don't even... So the Steamy Awards, we don't even get a week off?
We technically do, because we're recording the Steamy Awards.
We'll talk off air about this one, because I have some stuff that might be a problem. Okay, gotcha. So we'll talk off air about that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But the next episode is a Dalton pick. We just don't know what day it's coming out.
But yeah.
And we should be expecting to release a Steamy Awards episode.
Relatively soon.
Yeah.
Either next Thursday. Either next Thursday or the Thursday after,
So keep your ears and eyes peeled.
Always.
Yeah.
Keep your potatoes peeled.
It's very boring. It's very boring at my job. I need material to listen to.
Do you listen to the episodes that you're on, Jeff?
Sometimes. Okay. Depends on how I feel I did on that episode.
Fair enough.
You know what? Just quick fun fact, then we'll dive into our game of the week. I used to listen to every episode of the Steam Machine podcast after we recorded it and released it to make sure everything sounded okay. I do not remember the last time I listened to a full episode of the Steam Machine podcast now, because now I'm like, now that I know I've got my editing down and all that, I'm like, surely somebody in the Discord will be like, hey, there's a fuck up at such and such time. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go in and I'll fix it. But I've gotten pretty good at not doing that. So, yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, you ready to dive into our game of the week that Jeff chose?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right, Jeff, do you want to reveal the name of the game, even though it's going to be in the title and people are going to already know what the name of the game is, and then I will dive into the O-dubs.
Well, I will reveal that the game is one of my favorites of all time. It is Descent Freespace.
Woo!
All right, so then O-dubs, Descent Freespace, The Great War, also known as Conflict Freespace, The Great War in Europe, is a 1998 space combat simulation IBM PC compatible computer game developed by Volition.
Best known for the Saints Row games.
And Red Faction.
Really? And what?
And Red Faction.
No shit. Wow.
All right.
That's impressive. I didn't realize that. And that was when it was split off from Parallax Software, and it was published by Interplay Productions. And in 2001, it was ported to the Amiga platform as Freespace The Great War by Hyperion Entertainment. The game places the players in the role of a human pilot who operates in several classes of starfighter and combats against opposing forces, either human or alien, in various spacefaring environments, such as in orbit above a planet or within an asteroid belt. The story of the game's single-player campaign focuses on a war in the 24th century between two factions, one human and the other alien. That is interrupted in its 14th year by the arrival of an enigmatic and militant alien race whose genocidal advance forces the two sides into a ceasefire in order to work together to halt the threat. Descent Freespace was well received as a single-player space simulation that integrated all the desired features of its genre, from competent AI wingmen to the presence of a large capital ships that dwarf the fighters piloted by the player. That was hard to say. And explode spectacularly when destroyed. The game's multiplayer mode was criticized as it was plagued by lag and inaccurate tracking of statistics. An expansion for the game, which was less well received, was also released in 1998 under the title of Silent Threat, and focuses on events after the main game's campaign, with the player working for an intelligence branch of the Terran's armed forces that later attempted to overthrow the Terran government. A sequel to Descent Freespace, entitled Freespace 2, was released in 1999 to critical acclaim. Now, this game is only named, and I learned this from a YouTube video on the YouTubes, Descent Freespace, because they wanted to ride off the legacy of the Descent games, which I did not realize were something completely different. They were like Doom in a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were 6 Degree of Freedom games, but they were much closer to a first-person shooter.
Yeah. But this was definitely...
I was going to say, it's actually interesting because the original Descent games was developed by Parallax, the company that Volition was before it created itself.
Okay. So it was like these guys split off and they were like, well, we could still use that name. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has no actual, like, canon connections to Freespace or Descent. The only real connection is the fact that it has, like, 6 Degree of Freedom spaceship movement. But it's much more. This is the all range mode to the Star Fox of, a rail shooter of the Descent games almost.
Oh yeah. So Jeff, since this is your pick, I'm going to start with you. What was your first impressions on this game back in the day? Like, what got you into it? Tell us a little bit about why you picked this.
Well, it all started with the Descent games. Those were. I played the first one when I was young, like mid-90s. Who knows how old I was, probably like 6 or 7 on my first computer. And I just always loved this series. And then out of nowhere, my oldest brother just came home, and I was like, what the hell is this? Descent Freespace, the Great War. I just like, is it the same thing? He said, no, it's completely different. So I watched some gameplay of it from him, and it was just like, oh my god. This looks awesome. So when I first played it, it completely blew me away at how great the game was. I probably wasn't able to play it until maybe mid-2000s, but when I did, I was hooked. It hooked me instantly.
I can see that, and I think it was me and Nate having this discussion where it's like, you can definitely tell like why this game, when somebody played it back then, they were like, holy shit. This is awesome. Because I could totally get that vibe. I mean, and granted, I know that the version that we were playing was kind of like an upscaled version of the original. But being a person who has an appreciation for those older style PC graphics, like I can just imagine that I would have had just as much fun, tooling around in without it looking as crisp as it did. Yeah.
Well, comparing the two versions we played, I played the actual. I guess the original copy, yeah, and it's really not that much different than the version that we played now. The only difference is just really aesthetics, and maybe it's a little more polygonal, but really the differences are very similar.
Okay. And then I'm gonna go next to Willie because I think you're the other one that has the most experience with this. So. When did you first play this? What was your first impressions? What?
So, Freespace 2 was recommended to me probably, if I had to guess, somewhere around 2005, and probably recommended to me by someone on the Something Awful internet forum, I would guess, as a, basically, like a more modern successor to games like TIE Fighter. And I grew up loving TIE Fighter. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I played it. I absolutely loved it. I didn't get back around to Descent Freespace, the original one, for quite a while. But eventually I found, what at the time was called Freespace SCP. Now it's called FS Open. But it's the source part that most people play to make it work, including what we had to do to get the game actually working on our current systems. And I found out that, someone did a backport of the first game into it. So I went and played that there. And I mean, my main first impressions were with Freespace 2. Like, I considered Freespace 1 to be an afterthought for a really long time. And before this podcast, I'd only played through the Freespace 1 campaign one time.
Oh, okay. But, Doug, so going back through again, was it as good as you remember it being, or...
We'll discuss that when we get to that part of the show, won't we?
Okay, fair enough. Nate, what about you, bud?
Yeah, so
was this your first experience
This is
with
my first experience with it, because, like, around the time Willie was, like, mentioning he was getting into it, that was around the time, like, where I was, like, a senior in high school and didn't have time for video games, essentially. So, like, I had not touched this at all. It was completely outside my radar, so this was the first time I really played with it. First impressions were, man, this was a bitch to get working.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I've got to go ahead and say this up front. I cannot recommend anyone with a current computer purchase the game from a store in the state it's in right now. The only way we were able to get it working was by using a program called the Knossos installer that sets up the Freespace open port. The open port is fantastic, but here's the thing. It requires the Freespace 2 files to work, not the Freespace 1 ones. So if you really want to play this game, buy Freespace 2 and set up the source port. Don't bother buying, unless you wanted to send more money to the developers. But
I will.
You cannot install Freespace 1 right now on a current Windows 10.
Well, I will say I did buy Freespace 1 on Steam. I bought it months ago, and it was working. I was able to play the original version on Steam, but then I guess they did some sort of update for the Windows 10 and 11 versions, and that really fucked it up.
I think there was an update to Windows that broke it.
It might have been Windows itself, but it really fucked up the game, and now you cannot play it unless you get a open source port.
Yeah.
You either have to use a source port or do some weird rollback to NVIDIA drivers that sounded incredibly complicated and not worth it. Whereas getting the source port running, once we found the actual files, was like, I'll go give mad props to the people that make the Knossos installer. It was easier to install Freespace this time than it ever was for me in the past.
But after, like I said, once it got installed and running, it was good. But the funny thing about it was it took us a while to get to that point, because we were I bought it on GOG, I bought it on Steam, tried both to see if I could get either one of them to work. Neither worked. I refunded both of them, don't worry. And then we were trying to get a hold of Jeff, Jeff, you sure this game works, homie?
It did at first.
And Jeff was away from his computer, so he couldn't check for us for a couple of days. And then we finally just oh yeah, it's not working for me now either. I was like, damn it, Jeff. So I
did the same. I was gonna say I did the same thing as you. I tried even buying it off of GOG, and I'm just like, nope, not working.
Yep.
But then once Willie told me what to do, and that took me a while, because I am inept with computers. I am a dope.
Jeff, there's no way I'd be playing this game without Willie telling me how to install it too. So it's
without Willie, none of us would have been able to play this game.
Dalton might have figured it out. Dalton's good with the mods.
Yeah, Dalton's dealt with mod launchers before. This was easier to get up and running than my average Doom source port.
Fallout was. But once I finally got in there and finally got to play it, was like, oh man, I only have a few days because now I'm going to Boston. This is crazy. But no, I got in there and started flying around and did the training missions. I was like, oh wow, this is actually really cool. It's I wish I had a flight stick, because a lot of the controls are keyboard. And it's I can't really hold this controller in one hand and then keyboard everything else either. So I was like that's the only drawback I had was controller, because obviously it was optimized for flight stick. So I wish I had that opportunity. But no, the game looked great. It played great. It felt great. I was really impressed by the graphics. Obviously it's late 90s, early 2000s style game. So it's not up to what we'd look at today, but I thought, man, this sure looks like space, and those sure are asteroids, and they look good doing it.
And for what it's worth, I also didn't instruct either of them to install the Media VPS or any of the other fan-made upgrades to the ships. So all of the models that they were seeing were the original models from either from the original game or from the original FS port. So they were not seeing upscaled super high definition versions.
But you don't.
I did check out a couple of videos of the upscaled stuff though. And man, I'll tell you what, that game does explosions really well.
Yep.
So for me, these were games, I don't remember if I got them on GOG, like when I first got my computer, because they were maybe on sale for stupid cheap, or if I got them for free from GOG, because GOG will do that sometimes, where they just give shit away. But I had both Freespace 1 and 2 already. And I loaded into it once we got the mod stuff working with Gnosis. I loaded in, and for some reason it tried to set my PC is 2K, right? 1440p. But it has this weird thing where it will also go to the one little step above that. And I don't really know what that one's called. It's like 20 something by 330 something. And it just makes everything look a little crisp, but it also makes everything like a little smaller. And it made the screen like not be centered. And that drove me fucking nuts. And it took me like 20 minutes of just anger to clicking around until I finally figured out how to change the resolution. And it was like, okay, now we're good. And once I got the resolution changed, everything worked fine. I got in. I played this with mouse and keyboard.
What?
Monster.
And
no, honestly, I think mouse and keyboard might have been a better play than Xbox controller and keyboard. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I wouldn't have done it myself, but I could see that actually working pretty well.
If maybe you change it so I'm so used to a mouse where it's like I move my mouse up and it goes up, and I move it down and it goes down, right? That when I'm it was set to when it goes up, it shifts my ship downward, and when I pulled my mouse back, it inverted it and made it go up, and that threw me the fuck off. And I'm
so used to inverted controls in flight sims today. I'd never even thought about it for a second.
And you know what? On a stick, that doesn't bother me. But on the mouse, it was just weird.
But on a mouse, that would feel weird. Yeah.
But I don't know. I played a few missions. I failed the tutorial like 4 times.
Did you really?
How do you fail the tutorial?
It's very self-explanatory.
I blew something up before he asked me to, and he told me I couldn't obey instructions and I needed to report back.
He's like, I just want to play the game, sir.
So I eventually made it through, and then I did like the first couple missions, and by that point, I don't know what it was about the game, but it started hitting me with that. I started getting nauseous, like, where it was like making me woozy, and I was like, fuck.
Went full amnesia on it.
By that time, I decided, I was like, I am gonna, it went full amnesia, absolutely. Sorry, it just registered with me what you just said. I was like, I'm going to watch some videos on this. So I watched a few retrospectives. Let me tell you, if either of you want to make a YouTube video about Descent Freespace 1 that isn't a long play, congratulations. You're going to be like one of like 10 people maybe that have done that. Like, dude, I found so many Freespace 2 videos. I was having to sift through Freespace 2 videos to find Descent Freespace The Great War videos, and I found like a couple. And let me tell you, some of them were from like the beginnings of YouTube, and you could fucking tell.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's like,
oh yeah, today we're going to be talking about Descent Freespace from the Division.
Oh my it's God. Bane!
You all bought it, it's
this
Bane.
Is like 180p or something like
144p, wow.
Yeah, 144.
Yeah, back when 240p was the high quality.
Definitely wasn't a quality video on YouTube we're used to watching about people like Team Retrogue.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Team Retrogue, on the other hand, could put out a nice video that captures his controllers and his systems really well. I mean, the fact that I was able to see the difference between the Switch OLED and the Switch Classic, just like in his video footage, is a testament to his director ability.
Absolutely. So my main question for you gentlemen is, the two of you that are more experienced in the game, and Nate, please chime in with your experiences too. But like, what am I missing from the story? Because I would like to try this game again, but like, I just want to know like what I missed out on, because these retrospectives, like some of them went into the story a little bit. I know about Shivens, I think were their name.
Okay. Yep.
But that's about all I know, and I want to know more because I love space stories.
So like the very beginning of the game. Yeah,
we can give you the whole.
I want to cover the very, very beginning because I didn't get as far as either you or Jeff for sure. But like the very beginning of the game, you're becoming this trainee to help pilot and all that fun stuff. And the initial conflict is between, I forget the name of the main race.
Vasudans.
The Galactic Terran
and then
Alliance.
the Vasudans were the aliens that you were initially after. So the first couple missions were just like, hey, get used to flying. And then one that was really fun was getting to do the one where you're out taking out the troops of Vasudan ships. It's like you're in the asteroid belt. And
yes.
I love that mission a lot. Like you were trying to track down like 3 different squadrons of Vasudans, and then there was an optional fight you could do if you could find where the Vasudan ace pilot was.
If you liked that mission, Freespace 2 is going to be extremely your shit, because there's an entire class of missions called Nebula missions that have that same weird sensor thing where you have to be really close before you can
I thought that was a lot of fun.
So you're just following that like wavy thing in the...
So I really enjoyed that. And that was like the conflict that the beginning of the game hints that there is a bigger thing coming after you. Like the intro of the game was like a pilot returning to one of the bases and being shot down by like this random, like, it wasn't the Vasudans. It wasn't the Vasudans.
That's why I'm so interested in the story. They did a good job with that opening cutscene, because it pulled me in. And I'm like, what's going on?
I saw in the game. The cutscenes are really well directed. Like, they all look really good. And I also thought that, especially for late 90s, early 2000s, the voice acting in this game was really good.
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to the voice acting too, because I didn't remember there having this much of a cast in it before. But like, even like each capital ship has its captain or commander or admiral in charge of it that has its own voice. Like, it was actually really, I don't know, I thought they did a great job, because none of the voice cast sounded like amateurish or goofy like a lot of the late 90s,
it was very professional voice, in my opinion.
Yeah, they all sounded like, this is a real conflict. Everyone is giving a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the minimum, everyone was professional. Maybe robotic and underselling it, which I actually kind of prefer over
because the thing
terrible overacting.
It's very military, right? And military is not going to oversell these things. They're not going to freak out when there's a battle happening. Like, that's their job. So, like, the fact that they didn't oversell the things made it more believable to me.
Oh, I fully agree. I mean, like, I feel like the emotions you end up feeling, it isn't because someone is freaking out in your ear. It's like, literally, like, you just contemplate the gravity of what you've just heard and go, oh.
Real quickly, one of the retrospectives that I watched about it mentioned that, like, there was, like, a criticism of the game, but at the same time, it was also, like, a plus, if you will, is that the criticism was that, like, in Freespace 1, you're kind of just a nameless Joe. You're just a pilot, right? You don't really have any character. But they said, on the flip side of that, the game does a fantastic job at making you not feel like a hero. You are part of a squadron. Like,
yeah, you are Alpha 1 most of the time. You're not, the best. In fact, a lot of times I'll tell you, like, Alpha 2 is a veteran that we've put with you because we expect him to be able to help you succeed this mission.
Yeah, you're not the end-all, be-all hero that saves the day. And I always appreciate when games do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're not the chosen one. You're just one pin that can pull out enough to just throw that grenade that knocks all the dominoes over. And that's what I really liked about these games in general.
Yeah, the AI in this game, they really, for this time, they really knew how to, like, you are part of a team, and they will respond accordingly, because you are able to give commands to individual fighters or squadrons, and they will respond.
Yeah.
So if it's like, all right, attack this capital ship, they will focus their goal on just destroying that capital ship.
Well, speaking
go ahead.
I'll say, speaking of the AI too, is like, it really is like noticeable that they are doing things independently. Like, in that mission that I was talking about, I've realized at some point, it's like I was kind of following ships around, like, why do they keep turning around when I get close to them? Oh, they're following me. I was like, it took me a minute. I was like, oh, so this is actually what's happening here. It's like, I was like, and they're doing a good job of avoiding me. Like, they would even shoot down asteroids when they got in the way of our flight path. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, man, they really are active, and it feels like they are doing stuff with a purpose that's programmed in, but has to also, like, adjust to what you decide to do. Like, I was pretty impressed by that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I feel like the game is really responsive to your actions in general. Like, that's one of the things I'm most impressed by. I'll get into something that happened later on, but, like, it really has a lot of
So,
branching
I'm sorry,
paths.
why don't you guys talk a little bit about more about the story? 'Cause,
You're
like,
back in the
as I
story.
said, like, when I was, like, I hadn't quite gotten to the point where the main antagonist actually appeared. Like, I was still doing Vasudin stuff by that time.
Okay.
So, why don't you guys kind of, like, after, like, you know, that asteroid mission and we're, like, fighting Vasudins and kind of everything's revolving around Vasudins, what kind of happens from there?
You want me to go, Willie, or do you want to take over?
Absolutely. Go next.
For the next few missions, it's still just focused on the Vasudins until you're now doing an escort mission for just like a small freighter essentially. And as you're nearing your objective, all of a sudden these random ships out of nowhere, and throughout the entire mission, you're attacking the Vasudins still at this point. But there is a battle off in the distance, and they're just getting annihilated the Vasudins are getting annihilated by this random bunch of ships. Then all of a sudden,
which you can't even target with your own systems. If you try to mouse over them and click on it, nothing happens. If you hit the T button, you can't pick them up. They're just blurs
at
on
this
the
point,
radar.
you can't target them. At this point, you don't have any shields. But these ships at this point, they're the Shivans. They have a shielding system that you cannot penetrate with your weapons, and they just obliterate the ship that you were trying to defend. And then for the next several missions, you're just trying to figure out a way, how can we target them? How can we get a shielding system? How can we develop weapons to be able to fight them against? So you can definitely tell through the voice acting, these are desperate times. And also at this point, the Vasudins are like, okay, we're kind of fucked here. We need to work together in order for us to defeat the enemy. So that's when the Terrans and the Vasudins form an alliance.
But not all of the Vasudins. There's also a splinter group called the Hammer of Light that does not love the idea that you've broken up this incredibly awesome war that they've been loving. And they absolutely just want to destroy basically everyone. They essentially align with the Shivans because, like, they end up coming in together at times.
They do. It's real. I mean...
It wouldn't be a Freespace game if there were only 3 factions.
I will say, I mean, I guess this is sort of a spoiler for Freespace 2. Do you want to hear this?
Sure, go ahead.
I probably won't remember by the time we play it.
Basically, there's going to be a confederacy for the Terrans as well in Freespace 2. So, like, the same thing you have with the Hammer of Light, you have, I think they're called, like, the Neo-Terran Confederates. Yeah,
Neo-Terran Front, the NTF.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But then at this point, you're finally after a few raids against some Shivan depots, you've developed the shields. You've figured out how to track their ships, and you've developed weapons. And now you're basically going on the offensive, even though it seems like every mission the Shivans are just constantly kicking your ass.
So does this give you?
But the way
does this
it
lead
works
to like
is
more
so-
resource
sorry,
management
please.
type stuff now too? That you have shields and different types of ammo to use to fight against them.
It does.
Yes, you do have to manage the shields separately, which does involve, like, you know how in TIE Fighter the shield had the front and back half?
Yeah.
You had to, like, press a button to equalize them. There's 4 quadrants to the shields in this
Okay.
game, but it's otherwise a really similar mechanic. And you can also, like in
TIE
Freespace,
Fighter.
or like in TIE Fighter, you can shift your energy between your
Okay.
weapons, your shields, and your engines.
And as the game progresses, you do get to you get new ships because new ships become developed, and each one has its own characteristic in terms of speed, maneuverability, armor, and then also weapons and missiles.
Okay.
And it's always just like,
And even between matches, you can choose, like, to load out your ship with different missiles if you don't like the default ones that it's given you. Like, you can be like, you know what, I know it wants me to be a Hercules-class heavy fighter, but I'd like to be a Valkyrie Interceptor. And you could just do that. It'll let you switch them out as long as it's, like, available. But there's also, like, a limited number of resources, so you can't just put everything... Like, you can't make your whole team, like, Valkyries. There'll be, like, 3 Valkyries available or something like that.
so let's see what else. But yeah...
So we were up to basically, like, every mission you're going to, you're doing... I just wanted to expand on what you were just saying. Like, because the thing is, the game has a really good balance of like the narrative is crafted as much through the actual missions as it is through like the mission reports and stuff. Like you're going out there getting close to things to scan them so you can find it, and like there's even a mission way later in the game. Well, no, we'll get to that mission later, I think. But like you like, I don't know. It feels like early on, one of the main goals is to capture a Shivan vessel so we can study their technology and to study their stuff.
I'm
and
sorry,
so,
this is
like
a
the first
capital ship, a Shivan capital ship.
Yes, I think we capture a cruiser, I believe.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Proceed.
Hell yeah.
No, I think that was basically it. Like, that's one of the main early on goals is to capture a Shivan cruiser, and we finally pull it off, and we bring it back to a big, powerful station that is like one of the main science capitals of the world, and then all hell
that's
breaks
when
loose.
you figure out, and you actually see it in the opening cutscene to this game. The ship that comes through, it's just like, oh my god, it's not for students. They're not for students. That ship, you find out it's called the Lucifer.
The Lucifer. That's a name.
Lucifer.
That's a hell of a name.
It is it's the ultimate ship of the game. It's the big bad of the game, and that's when I said, Nate, I messaged you earlier saying like, there's one thing I want to reach before we do the podcast. I was literally saying I want to see this the Lucifer in a mission before we actually get going, because the Lucifer it's classified as a destroyer by the Terran Command, but it's actually more of a super destroyer. It's the only ship in the game. The only capital ship in the entire Freespace series, in fact, that has shields.
Cannot be penetrated.
Yeah, it's literally impossible to damage the shields, period.
Wow.
But yeah, you find out through just like a mission briefing, this station has been decimated, all from this one Lucifer-class ship. And that's when you're just going, what the fuck? Just when you thought that something good is coming your way, the game just slaps you in the face. It's like, nope. Now you have the biggest threat in the franchise.
Yeah. So because we thought we were going to reverse engineer Shivan technology and all that. We got their shields, we got the tracking ability and all that. But no, we're not getting their weapons. The moment we haul one of their ships in, it immediately summons the devil to come and destroy, And the Lucifer is also the only ship in Freespace 1 that has a beam weapon. It literally shoots like just like straight up beams that like rip through and take out like 12% of a destroyer's health in one blast.
Are destroyers kind of like your tank style ships?
So, do you remember the Star Destroyers in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Like the huge-ass triangle-shaped ships that the Empire uses like their flagships? That is like the top class of ship in this game for the most part. It's like the one ship you're assigned to early on, the Galatei, that is like the flagship of the Terran fleet. And that's a destroyer. Okay. And
it do get destroyed.
It does. It's actually, I just completed this mission. It's been heavily damaged, and the entire mission, for 10, 15 minutes straight, you're attacking enemy squadrons, just like trying to protect the ship. And just when you're like, oh, okay, I think we're in the clear, the Lucifer beams in and destroys the Galatei. And you're just like, again, another slap in the face.
The whole plot does a great job of managing like tension and then release, and then like you think you have a win and it gets blown back up in your face and all that. But there is one hope, which is at one point a Vasudan ship is destroyed by the Lucifer, and their escape pod warps into Altarian space, and somewhere around Altera they discover an undiscovered planet, and on that planet they discover a message from a society that, despite the fact that this clearly happened thousands of years ago, was clearly destroyed by the Shivans. So they find out that there was an ancient civilization that was destroyed by these guys. And so, like, there's a lot of messages you get throughout the game, like, these weird cutscenes are like, we thought ourselves a proud race, or whatever. And that's, like, translations of the ancient message. And so one of the final push is to get like xenolinguists to that place so that they can translate the ancient message and find out, what did they have to tell us about the ancients.
So it sounds like the Shivans themselves are like have these centuries or even millennia of technological advances upon anything that you could have had as your race, since these races you consider ancients were destroyed by the Shivans.
Well, when you look at the ships compared to your own, you can definitely tell that they're a lot more advanced than you are. Like, even it's classified as just a normal destroyer called the Eva. When you look at it compared to, say, your ship, the Galatei, you can definitely tell that it's just like, the Eva, it would just destroy the Galatei with no problem whatsoever. The Shivans are just so far advanced, but it's just by sheer hope and, basically story, the script of the game, you're able to push through.
Yeah, you basically find out that basically the ancients were a conquering society, kind of like a Roman Empire. They just took everything they could, and the Shivans came back like the immune system of the universe and came to destroy them for conquering and extinguishing so many sentient species before them. And now that you've pushed into subspace, the Shivans basically see you the same way as they see the ancients. And so they've come to stop humanity and the Vasudans from becoming like that kind of plague
that they
upon
themselves
the universe.
basically are.
Yep.
Yeah, and they immediately prove that by, at the beginning of, I believe, Chapter 3, completely destroying the Vasudan homeworld.
Jeez. You know what they remind me of? Daleks.
Yeah, they're kind of not too far off from the Daleks, except they don't, they want to exterminate.
Exterminate!
And there is only one time you see an actual Shivan in person, and that is just through a cutscene.
Yeah, a boarding party gets to a Shivan ship, and you see a cutscene of them trying to board, and we finally see what one of the Shivans looks like in person. And golly, it's pretty scary.
I guess like a giant mechanical bio spider, essentially, but it just just destroys this boarding party with very little effort.
Yeah.
So do you see what the Vasudans look like too? Are they?
Yeah, once you make an alliance with the Vasudans, you're pretty much talking to Vasudans all the time. There's even like this cool thing where the Vasudans' voice is like, and then like the voice over top is like translating it like, that was pretty good for a Terran.
Yeah, I'm looking. I just had to Google a picture of what they look like.
They're just kind of like weird brown like fish-eyed type dudes, I think.
But yeah, to progress with the story, you do eventually find out that the Lucifer does have a weakness, and the only way you can attack it is through subspace. And that's what
you would have. Yeah, shields do not work in subspace.
So basically, at this point you developed a bomber called an Ursa, and there's also a bomb called a Harbinger, and
Harbinger,
however it's pronounced. Yep, exactly. That's it, Dalton. You follow it into subspace, and then you just do an all-out attack on the Lucifer. And even then, it's very difficult to do because the ship has 5 reactors.
Yeah, it's set up in a very fun final boss where you have to destroy all 5 reactors within like 8 minutes or something like that, or else it'll come through the Sol system and glass the Earth, like it did to the
on target.
Yeah.
But when you beat the mission, it does end in a very cool way. The subspace portal forms, and you see all your fighters escape, and then you see the Lucifer, as it's blowing up, slowly make its way out the portal, and then the portal just like closes in on itself, and it's severed the head off the Lucifer.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you find out you're basically in
really
the moon's orbit, looking at Earth. That's how close it was for the Lucifer succeeding with its mission.
Yeah, it's a cool looking ship too, though. I like that a lot. The Lucifer.
Yeah, it looks like a giant ass bee, basically.
Hold on.
I put it in chat.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I
love that design.
Yeah. That's something I think this game did a really good job of. I thought the ship designs, even what the little ones that I saw, were really well done. I thought they were really cool looking.
Yeah, I agree.
And each race has its own really unique design philosophy, too. Like, the Terrans have this really, like, post-NASA style, angular style. The Vasudans have this, like, really curvaceous stuff. Like, the Vasudan stuff is all named after, like, Egyptian mythology and stuff. And then, like, the Shivan's characters are all named after, like, chthonic mythology, like various demons and hells and infernos and stuff. Hence the Bossidus being named like the Lucifer, and like, not to spoil too much, but there's a similarly huge Lucifer-esque ship in game 2 called the Sathanas.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
which is, I think, maybe the scariest thing I've ever seen in a video game. I'm really not trying to exaggerate too much, but I swear to God, I don't think anything has rattled me as much as
it definitely has an incredible intro to the series. You're just going,
yeah.
And this is supposed to be a first-person combat shooter, and this was like a horror element to it.
I honestly thought Freespace 2 was like...
Well, it's like what you said in one of our Halloween episodes. Like, you know, we were talking about greatest fears, and you said yours was scale. So, like, that tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Willie, did you have a favorite ship?
To play as, or like
just a
capital
playable
ship?
One that you always loved going back to. Like, man, this is...
I'm gonna be honest. So this is the weird thing, is like, coming back into this game, like, one of the things about Freespace 2 that I really loved was, like, you're very, very agile with almost every ship. And I remember in Freespace 2, like, the Hercules, which is a heavy fighter in this game, was basically treated as, like, a Great War relic, and it sucked to play as in Freespace 2. I actually really enjoyed playing as a Herc in this game. I thought it was, like, really powerful.
It has 6 turrets, and I always equipped it with what's called a Banshee laser. And the thing is supposed to just decimate shields and armor.
Yeah, it's specifically a weapon based to just shoot through Shivan shields.
That seems like that would be very, very useful.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, you don't get
to
into fairly late in the
a ship in like the Rebel Galaxy. Good God, the Rebel Army in Star Wars.
If the Herc were a ship in Star Wars, it would be a B-wing, a ship that's kind of in between a bomber and a
TIE interceptor.
Fighter. Whereas the Valkyrie, which is a ship I mentioned earlier, would be closer to the A-wing. It's an interceptor.
Yeah, because like I remember in like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, I was like playing as an A-wing.
Yeah, you would like the Valkyrie a lot. I would recommend picking the Valkyrie when it's available, because it is very fast and very good at like when I get to that hardest mission in the game, which is the one where you have to escort. There's the Demon class destroyer Ava versus the Hope, I think. It might have been the Hope. It was one of those large destroyers. Like, if you can't get out there and intercept the bombers, you're screwed. And even then, you probably still need to shoot bombs
That is
down.
an option. Luckily, bombs in this game are very slow and very easy to identify, because you just see the slow-moving green trail moving across, and you could shoot them down. Beware, don't be too close, because the shockwave will hurt you.
By the way, I want to say that I died more to shockwaves than to any other form of mission failure. I literally was too near to a ship that I was being a hero and trying to blow up, or I was too near to one of the kamikazes that were trying to attack not Samtic, that's
two.
Game. That's 2, yeah. Too near one of the kamikazes that was trying to attack the Hope, I think.
It was either the Hope or the Galatei, one of the two.
It may have been the Galatei.
Yeah.
Oh, but the coolest thing is, oh my god, I forgot. There's even a mission where you fly a stolen Shivan dragon fighter in Shivan space. It's called Playing Judas, and your goal is to just scan everything, but don't get scanned by the other fighter ships. So you don't want to let the fighters get into your space, or else they will, like, scan you and the jig will be up. So you're, like, scanning transports, trying to figure out what the Shivans are trying to pass through, and then the Ava, which is a demon class.
And then the Lucifer This is the first time in the game where you see the Ava and the Lucifer on screen. You know, before it's always just either during a cutscene or during a briefing. So you see the ships and you're just going, "Oh my god, I am a dwarf compared to these massive ships."
It's like, try to get into the Lucifer's fighter bay, and it's like, they only tell you to do that so you can look through the whole ship and be like, oh my god, how do I find this thing is 5 miles long.
I guess equivalent to like at the start of Star Wars Episode 4, the Rebel cruiser getting sucked inside the Star Destroyer. Think of that size comparison when you're playing that level against like the Lucifer and the Eva.
By the way, that That's actually a Corvette class ship.
I'm sorry.
Actually,
shows how much I care about Star Wars.
Bazinga.
Yeah, it's no free space. Bazinga, Baspingus, Zimbabwe.
Oh man. So obviously, like, this game had a big impact on you guys. Like, you guys really thoroughly enjoyed it. Is there more you want to touch on?
One thing I was really surprised by going back to it was I remember the game having a lot of Vasudin versus Terran battles up front, and I remembered having like a long struggle with the Hammer of Light. And I thought there was a lot more filler than there was, but I basically played it through in one 10-hour sitting, and it was like I felt really impactful the whole way.
Yeah, this
through.
game isn't incredibly long. I looked it up. There's only 32 missions, and each mission is probably about 10 to 20 minutes long. So the fact that you were able to beat this in 10 minutes really, I think, just adds to the fact that how great this game is. Because, like, oh wow, this was great. I was trying on a harder difficulty because there are 5 difficulties from.
I did play it on the default difficulty, which was easy, so I did think that the dogfighting was really unnecessarily simple, and I probably will replay it on medium later. When we play FS2, I'm definitely going to play it on medium instead, because I felt like I didn't get anything out of the dogfighting. I just felt like I was just stalking prey and eating them alive for the most part.
And that does affect the way the ships handle, or the power-wise, I mean.
Oh! I did have one thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was really cool, which was on the mission Paving the Way, which is the one where there's this big-ass destroyer that's going through the asteroid belt. You and one other pilot are just clearing all these asteroids, and nothing happens for like 7 minutes. Alpha 2 managed to somehow die during that part of the mission. She just, like, I'm like, she and I are just clearing out asteroids, and all of a sudden I hear, damn it, and I look over and she's just dead. I don't know how she managed to die because there's 3 options here. Number 1, she ran into an asteroid, which, okay, yeah, you can run into asteroids, but that only does like 3% damage. So she would have had to run into an asteroid a whole bunch of times. Number 2, she may have been hit by the destroyer, which was going at a cool 8 miles per hour. So if that rammed her to death, that's bad. Or 3, she didn't see the destroyer, which is like a 3-mile-long ship, and flew into it, and it just kept holding the accelerator in until
your
she died.
Alpha 2 was a lot more dumb than mine was. Mine was very competent.
Oh, no, I went and replayed the mission just to make sure that wasn't happening. Like, wasn't supposed to happen. But the funniest part was, when I replayed the mission, I realized, oh, she has, like, dialogue, but the destroyer itself actually took over some of her dialogue when, like, obviously something happens at the end of the mission, and they're like, you know, bombers jumping in or whatever. Usually she's supposed to go out and take out the bombers, and you just hang out and keep on killing the asteroids. But the destroyer itself had to send the message, and so, like, there was a separate voice-acted line that was like, enemy bombers were approaching. And it's like, oh wow, they actually counted on that happening. Like, they knew the AI would sometimes be stupid and kill itself for no reason, and they prepared for it. And like, there's so much weird branching for
or maybe they
the
counted on you being an asshole and killing your teammate.
Maybe I would have killed her. Yeah, maybe I would have team killed. Although if you team kill too hard, the game calls you a traitor, and then just absolutely every ship on your team tries to kill you. So I wouldn't have liked your chances against the destroyer.
So, gentlemen, anything else that jumps out? Final thoughts?
No, I can't.
Before we give this a rate-a-roo?
I can't really think of anything. We discussed
I think
a lot of the major points to the gameplay, the story. It's just, I don't know what more we can add. Unless, can you think of anything, Willie?
I only have one thing I wanted to bring up during the rating part itself. That's about it.
Well, then, we'll hop into that. Let's start with me and Nate, because ours will probably be shorter. I'm going to give this game a default 7, and here's why. I didn't get a chance to play enough of it to give it a good rating, but from what I've seen of it, like watching people on YouTube and then like hearing you guys talk about it, I know that this absolutely was a gem of its time. So I don't think it deserves anything less than a 7, but I can't give it any more because I didn't get to experience it. But I think, you know, maybe I'll get some Dramamine, pop a Dramamine, and give it another shot, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I personally think I gave it a little bit more than time into it than Dalton did, it sounds like, and got a little bit more out of it. And just hearing y'all two, especially the joy that it gives both of you, is like really impactful onto me too. Like, it's like, and I could tell just from the little bit that I did play, this is a really good game, and it makes me excited to play Freespace 2, and hopefully I'll have time to be able to dedicate myself to beating that entire game. But as far as this one goes, like, yeah, man, 8. I'm going to go a little bit higher than Dalton because I think it deserves it. I'm going to give it 8 Vasudans out of 10 Terrans.
You know what? I'll strike mine, and I will agree with Nate. 8.
Well, I guess I'll go next. I mean, obviously, everything I've said, I praised about it, and I think you guys even heard me say in the past, this series is my favorite game, my favorite PC game of all time. So I can't, in good conscience, give it anything less than a 10 out of 10.
Hell yeah!
All right,
this game is just perfect to me.
So here's the way.
Last Christmas,
I played this game one time. No, we're not doing that. I'm only 5 days away now. We are not doing Last Christmas. So I played this game like about a decade ago. After playing a ton of Freespace mods and all that, and I didn't enjoy it because I remembered it being a little unfulfilling, a little slow paced, and a little all of that. I'm playing this having not played Freespace 2 in a while, and because of that, like, I find the Herc fulfilling to fly. I find all these things that I thought were a little weak about it to be, like, things that they would get better later in the series, but, like, really good. Like, I didn't realize that the pacing was this strong, that every mission you'd be striking up a new piece of technology off of the Shivans, or defending a really important point, or losing an important point, because there are missions where you or not intentionally, but where you lose the primary objective because there's nothing you could do about it. That feeling of hopelessness, that, like, the incredible scripting of this game, like, actually blew me away. I went into this expecting to give this game an 8 because I love Freespace 2 but thought it was a drag. I'm going to give it a 9.5. I actually, honest to God, got so absorbed into it that I wanted to tear myself away and told myself I would take a break at the end of what the Hardlight Wiki lists as the act breaks. I told myself I would stop playing for an hour at each of those breaks. I couldn't even keep myself away for an hour either time. I literally went back.
I can verify that because I was chatting on G-Chat with Willie, talking about the game, and he was like, yeah, I'm ready to fly the plane again, like 15 minutes after closing out of the game.
Like, this was amazing. This was way better than I remembered it. And if this is as good as I remembered it and that much better, I can't wait until we get into the Shivan incursion into Wolf 239 and the rest of those systems.
I will also say there is an expansion pack to this game called the Silent Threat, and that one's basically kind of like a Black Ops intelligence mission where you're working for, I think it's called like the GTI, the Galactic Terran Intelligence, and you're specifically working for Special Ops. So you're doing like what's the term, like
infiltration.
It's off the books. You're doing like off the books missions, like, unofficial. So it gives it a little more of that kind of feel to it, and the story matches it.
I may check that out, but my God, I was looking through that list of missions, all those Freespace 2 mods I remember loving, and I really want to get back in there and play Derelict again, because the plot of that one also involves you towing the corpse of the Lucifer through space. And my
Jeff,
God.
just know that you're on deck for any future Freespace games we play.
Oh, that makes me happy. And I will speak, when I logged on Gnosis for the first time and saw all the fan-made games for that, I was just like, holy shit. Because I was the only one I was aware of. Actually, there's two that uses this engine, the Freespace Open engine. One of them was called Blue Planet. And I think that one came out.
Blue Planet too. It's a very anime one, right?
Don't recall. I think it still looks the same, but they tried to get a little more creative with it. I think this was like 2003 or when they finally created Blue Planet. But then the one that really gets me excited, because this is also my favorite franchise for consoles, is Star Fox Event Horizon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I can't wait to hear what you think about that.
I gotta find.
So we may spend some more time in the Freespace.
Yeah,
Open.
I gotta find out a way to get it downloaded.
I just know that
But I have to try.
we have this Nasos thing, so if it comes up when Steamy's deciding to pull randomizer stuff one day, it could happen.
Mm-hmm. Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation.
That's right. I don't know whose voice that was supposed to be. Sorry.
It sounded like you did a Vince McMahon, but you did like a commentator Vince McMahon voice, like back before they told him back before he was in canon supposed to be the lead, back when he just ran the company, but was just like, what a maneuver.
So, that's good Freespace talk. Like, I really love hearing you two especially talk about it, like the passion for it, and it's just great to hear people love something.
It's kind of why I kind of just sat back and watched. I'm just listening and enjoying.
Yeah. Like me and you did.
It's like a live retrospective.
We didn't need to be on this episode, Dalton.
Yeah, I know, right? We're just here for garnish.
Yeah. So I guess that'll lead us into fan questions for the week, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's just jump right in to it. An hour and 30 minutes into the episode. This first question comes from Adam. What was your... I love this question so much that I bumped it up to the front of the list because I know we skipped some questions last week, but I really liked this question, so I made it the first one for the week. So this comes in from...
Dalton hasn't decided yet. Oh my god.
Yeah,
he just saw his face.
Oh, poor Dalton.
I'll go last.
Make a choice pretty soon, buddy.
Right.
We'll let you go last. I'll go first.
This comes in from our Aussie buddy Adam. What was your favorite game or a game that you would play from the year you were born? For Adam, and I forgot what year he was born because I'm garbage, but his was the original SimCity.
1989. I looked it up.
All right. So let's start with our handsome guest host this week. Jeff, what was your favorite game from the year that you were born?
Well, thank you for the compliment, you sexy bastard. So I was born in 1987, and I actually got you to play this on a stream one day, and I think you did like 3 playthroughs, and you told me you loved it, and to this day I still love it. That's Guerrilla War for the original NES.
It was one of those games that I was just surprised that I'd never really played through before, but like Jeff, you were like, play this on stream. I'm like, all right, man, I'll play this on stream just for you. And I got into it. I was like, man, this is a game that you can actually just sit and play through the entire game multiple times. Like, if you had this as a kid, I could just see you sitting there playing that for, like, beating it 5 times a day for all summer vacation.
Well, me and my brother, we would play that game all the time because you can do co-op, and the whole game is done in an hour.
Yeah.
So it's very accessible. It's very easy to beat because the continue system in that game is very forgiving. It's just so much fun. I love the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And when I discovered it made in 1987, I was like, that's it. That's the answer to this question.
Yeah. Personally, my year had quite a few bangers come out. Like, here's 3 that are great games that aren't even registering in the top 2 for me.
Well, first, what year?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Jeff. 1986. So the first 3 that aren't in it are like Adventure Island, which is a great game, like that and Wonder Boy. Like, I know Dalton has a lot of experience with that too. Metroid came out in 1986, and The Legend of Zelda came out in 1986. But there are 2 games in particular that got me hitting my head against the wall. Like, how do I pick a favorite between these 2 games? So, believe it or not, second place for me in 1986 is Dragon Quest. The original Dragon Quest came out in 1986, and if y'all ever followed my stream or anything, you know my branding was all around Dragon Quest slimes and everything. Yeah.
This is how I thought you were going to go, yes.
Also, if you ever watched my streams, you've seen me beat this game multiple times. So, my favorite video game from 1986, and honestly, could be a top 10 video game of all time for me, is Castlevania. Like, the original Castlevania was 1986. Like, y'all know how much I love that stuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why you said you saw me beat this multiple times. My brain immediately went, oh, he's picking Predator?
No, I think that came out in 1987, actually. No,
okay.
it had to be later than that. What year did Predator come out?
I'm guessing 88 or 89. That's my guess.
Yeah. I might find it. No, it did come out in 87. It did come out in 87.
Oh.
87. All right.
It's a strong year.
Hell yeah.
Much.
Well, okay, so I came out in 1985, and unfortunately, this is the easiest year of all time. There is really very little competition here. 1985 was the year that the Family Computer and the Nintendo Entertainment System came out, and its pack-in game is basically the game that is synonymous with video games. And as much as I would love to say that there's a game that was better that came out that year, it is impossible to argue that Super Mario Brothers isn't it.
Fair enough. That first game, yeah, dude. I mean, I have the card over there. I have the one that's, that and Duck Hunt together.
Yeah, I still have mine
card.
too.
I mean, really, Space Harrier came out in 1985. Are you sure?
I mean, Space Harrier is kind of tight. I'm not going to lie. Space Harrier is good. Gauntlet also. I mean, I thought about Gauntlet for half a second, then I realized I didn't really like it that much. Gradius came out in 1985 and is actually a game I enjoy. Oh, Twinbee. That's cool. I don't think I played the original Twinbee, though.
But yeah, no, obviously it's Super Mario Bros. It's hard. It'd be really hard to not pick Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess that leaves me, huh?
Yep.
All right, so much like Nate, 92's got some fucking bangers that I'm not even picking, right? Off the top of my head, or not off the top of my head, off the top of this Wikipedia list, 92 brought us games such as Dragon Quest V, Final Fantasy V, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins, and Super Mario Kart, Wolfenstein 3D, Alone in the Dark.
This is brutal.
What were some of the other ones? There was one of the Wizardry games, I want to say. Wizards and Warriors 3, never mind. It was Ultima Underworld, The Stygian Abyss, Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, The Terminator, Contra 3. Like, dude, so many good games came out in 1992, but...
Did you say Mortal Kombat?
I did not, Jeff. Thank you for stepping on my The one that I hadn't mentioned and the one that I am going with is Mortal Kombat. Although, a game that I do have for the NES on cart right over there did also come out in 1992, and that would be Beetlejuice.
Nice.
Ooh.
But
Beetlejuice.
Oh no!
Oh no, we summoned him!
I'm going the original Mortal Kombat. I do know that like later games in the series obviously perfected their shtick a little more, but like you cannot argue the impact that first Mortal Kombat game had.
For sure.
So
it's one of those games that changed the world, like fucking Doom and shit. It changed what a video game could be and how both kids and adults could relate to gaming. Like, I don't know. It was neat. It also created
that was
so much
the year of
controversy.
fighting games, like Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition and Mortal Kombat. Like, that's insane.
yeah, and for the second year in a row, fun fact, Street Fighter 2 was the highest grossing entertainment product.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 was cornered the market for such a long time, dude. Like, crazy.
Nate, though, for you, though, the best-selling Sega Mega Drive / Genesis game was Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
That is probably the best Genesis Sonic game. Like, honestly, it might be my favorite Genesis game. Like, Sonic 2 is so good.
That Green Hill Zone, bro.
I feel like there's a very strong argument for Sonic 2 being
it's
the best Sonic
fantastic
game, too. Although I think Nate is probably
Frontiers is really good. Mania is really good. Like, Mania...
Mania also.
Yeah.
Mania's just like Sonic 2
close
perfect.
to being my next host pick. We'll have to see. All right. So I guess we'll go into the next question. This one comes in from Team Retro, and I wanted to do this one on this episode for sure because he was a little bit late on this question, but just luckily, we have Jeff with us. So our question from Team Retro, who was on our Kingdoms Family episode, if you'd like to hear from him, he's like, sorry for being a little bit radio silent. I wanted to ask this question for American Truck Simulator. What was the most realistic aspect of the game? Are you allowed to get out of the truck and walk around, grab a snack at a truck stop, fall asleep at the wheel if you don't rest up? I guess the ultimate point of this question is, did you feel like a real trucker when you were playing? Jeff, what do you say?
For the most part, I will say yes, but some of the realistic stuff that he mentioned, like grabbing a snack, or you cannot do that. The only time you can walk around your truck is when you're in a garage, like customizing or doing repairs. What happens if you don't fall or go too long without falling asleep? I don't know. I never got to that point where, I mean, your vision starts when you get too tired. You start having tunnel vision.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. You're like the like the the borders of your vision start to darken. Like, okay, you're really falling asleep.
I was wondering,
but
what
I don't
happened.
know. I don't know what happens if you go too long. I never got to that point. But otherwise, yeah, I felt like a real trucker. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, I get you.
I think the game takes some liberties.
Yeah.
It just got to remind you, hey, this still is a game.
Yeah. I felt like as much of a trucker as I could playing it. I feel like I have regrets about that episode. I wish I would have been a little stupider. I wish I would have tried to see what happened if I tried to drive my truck off a cliff. I wish I would have seen what happened if I let my truck run out of gas. I wish I would have found out what happened if I just decided to go on a rampage and just ram every car in the 10-mile radius. But like me, good boy, I follow law. No do bad thing. So
I eventually started breaking laws just because it's like I still have like over $1 million at this point. And of course I haven't played it since then. But it's just like, fines? Fuck it. Get out of my fucking way. I will say probably
red lights mean nothing to me.
I will say probably the dumbest thing I did was that's when I was doing a speed test for my truck. That's when I found out. I was like, oh boy, I'm going like 110 miles an hour. Oh no, here's my exit. I basically slam on my brakes, and it caused actually my truck to jackknife.
Nice.
I crashed into the tree, and I had immediate 100% damage. It's like, well, time to reload an autosave.
See, dude, like the whole time I was playing the game, I don't think I ever got any truck over like 2% damage. I'm like, I should have been so much stupider while I played this game, but
well, I wanted to see what my the top speed was.
yeah, I feel that.
Nate's like, we need to play this again, but we need to play it like Big Mother Truckers instead of playing it like American Truck Simulator.
Oh, what about you two? What do you guys think? Do you feel like a trucker?
I'll tell you, the thing I felt most like a real trucker in was definitely when I was trying to back up or otherwise manipulate the trailer, because my god, I just simply do not understand the physics of how backing up a truck works. And I came out of the game respecting truckers a lot more out of that, because I was like, oh god, this is hard, and I'm playing this stupid asshole idiot video game version of it. I'm playing the Kerbal Space Program of being a trucker. Like, these are the actual rocket scientists out there on the road.
And I'll kind of piggyback off that by saying that, like, I felt like a trucker for the most part, but like, I didn't play with a steering wheel. None of us played with a wheel. You know what I mean? But like, if you go and read through some of the Steam reviews where people are like, I'm an actual trucker, and this is about as close to getting in a truck as you can in a video game. And then you have other people, who say, they played this with their, rig set up with the steering wheel and all of that. And then they decided they wanted to be a trucker, and they went and took the license and stuff, and they already knew a bunch of stuff they needed to know because the game had taught it to them. Yeah. So I just think that's cool. It made me really want to play PC Building Simulator because I could learn a thing or two.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I will say I did not learn a lot about fishing playing Ultimate Fishing Simulator.
No.
Oh,
You didn't learn how to catch a marlin?
I mean, I feel like it'd be harder in real life. Let's be real.
Boy, got me marlin.
Fish fear me. Women fear me. Oh God, what have I done? Okay. So our next question comes in from Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube. What sort of games were already installed on your first computer? And I'm not going to answer this question. I'm just going to make Willie do it.
This depends on what you consider to be our first computer, I suppose. Like the difference between our first Windows computer, our first home computer that actually
because I guess did you consider the Tandy TRS-80? Do you consider the Commodore 64?
I was going to say that the TRS-80 color computer didn't really come installed with anything other than BASIC.
I would probably say the Commodore.
We had a few educational games for it. The Commodore, I don't remember what came with it when we first got the Commodore, actually. So I guess it would be the Windows 3.1 Packard Bell, which came with a whole bunch of weird, fun, little goofy games, including, God, there was this little puzzle game where you're like a little mouse pushing cheese around. God,
See, I don't know. Like, I don't remember all those so well. Like the things that came installed. What really stick out to me were more of the things we found at the dollar bin at the Kmart, where you would just pick up this sample or set of 500 video games on one disc. And I just remember a lot of random stuff. Like I remember there was this Jetpack game where you played as Santa.
That was a Jetpack Christmas edition. Jetpack was another game that was very similar, where you could make your own missions and stuff like that. There were a lot of fun little games like that. Like I don't know, I think like those shareware discs were like really instrumental for us, especially because I think that's probably where our first exposure to Doom would have come from. So that would have been huge.
See, the first home computer we had, I don't know exactly what it was. I just know it was an Acer, and this thing had a RAM capacity of 1.01 gigabytes. Man, this thing was a beast. Anyway, the three games that come to mind immediately that were already, it was the demo versions, but, still able to play them. First one was Jazz Jackrabbit.
Jazz Jackrabbit, an early Epic game.
I still enjoy that. Well, I haven't played it since that computer, so I don't know how it holds up. But I remember loving it. Another game that was called, I think it's pronounced Tyrion.
Tyrion.
Dude, I was actually just playing that game a couple of weeks ago. I even told these guys about it. That game was really fun. I enjoyed that
game a lot. And
it's like a little shmup where you can upgrade your ship really relentlessly.
You're this tiny little ship on your screen is like maybe an inch long, but yet you can have weapons that are like 4 inches wide. It's like this doesn't physically make sense.
Yeah.
But then the third game was this is how it got me into the series, was The First Descent.
It all comes together.
So there's our tie-in.
Jeff, if you've never really looked, I believe that all of those games that you just mentioned are available on goodoldgames.com. GOG.
Well, then I'm good.
And probably most of them on
I'm going to have to look them up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Because it might be cool for you to go back and have that nostalgia trip.
As long as they'll install and play properly on Windows 10 PC.
Read through the comments first. Yeah, read through the comments first. Make sure that people can get it running.
Yes, I will.
The games that came installed on my first PC, kind of boring, guys. Kind of boring. It was like Solitaire, Spider Solitaire, Minesweeper, and the Space Pinball game.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Space Cadet Pinball on the other
played the shit out of that.
Not gonna lie, that game rolls.
We all did.
But most of my games were stuff I would get at the book fair. You know what I mean? I got The Sims from the book fair, the original Sims. I got Revolt, which was this whole RC car racing game that's badass, by the way. It still holds up. And then Ultimate Ride, which was just this 3D game made by Disney Imagineers that you could just create roller coasters. You didn't own a park. There was no park simulation to it. You just built roller coasters. And I remember being able to build a coaster on the surface of a planet, or a moon. And I would just build super far up, out of the atmosphere, and then do a giant drop down back. And it was fun.
Reminds me of Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So this next one comes in from Kana, who asks, what's the first game you bought with your own money?
This is one I was just trying to rack my brain. What was the first game I bought with my own money?
See, that's a really hard one. Yeah.
Because a lot of the games my brothers have already bought, or I just, when I bought my PS2 from my friend, he gave me everything of his. So all that was $80. But it's just the first game that I chose myself, I believe, was Ace Combat 5, The Unsung War.
Nice.
Fun fact, the last game I played before I bought my PS3.
Nice. Oh, man. My brain tells me it was probably Grand Theft Auto 3 because my parents were probably like, no, you can buy that for yourself if you want that game. We're not buying that for you. But but part of me also thinks that maybe I had gotten birthday money and then went to got a PlayStation 1, and I almost guarantee you it was a wrestling game back then. So I promise you that my first game that I spent my money on was more than likely a wrestling game, SmackDown 2, or maybe PS2 Here Comes the Pain, something.
One thing that always sticks out in my brain is Well, we've been buying video games for ourselves since we were very young. Like, Mom was awesome and would take us to the used video game store, pawn shops and stuff to pick up video games from a very young age, and like whatever allowance.
We would save our $5 a week allowance
Funko Land or wherever, before Funko Land even existed, I feel like, some of them.
No, it was Funko Land was the main one we would go to because they had the big sheet that had the NES game prices.
Yeah, it's like trying to think of what the first one I got was. I have no idea because I've been buying NES games since as far back as I can literally remember.
That was definitely, especially a really big middle school experience for us, was buying those back when they were like, the prices had cratered on NES games because all the other systems were huge. I can tell you what my first major purchase with my own money was because I kind of did a weird scumbag move with it. So I was sent to a kind of educational summer camp thing in North Carolina. I don't want to be more specific than that, but Mom and Dad basically sent me with like $120 to take care of myself while I was there, and I held on to $80 of it. So when I got back home, I could buy a used Sony PlayStation.
Brilliant.
Because I just really wanted to play Parappa.
That's where that came from. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
Now you know the rest of the story.
That's awesome.
I spent literally almost no money there, so I would have that money because I'd never had $100 before in my life.
I'm trying to think about something old school about. Like, I can't really think of anything. Like, obviously, I bought like NES games when I was really young, but when I first started getting back into video games, the first system I bought was a Wii because it was like right after I graduated college. I went and got a Wii, and the first game that I remember buying specifically for it was Donkey Kong Country Returns. So, like, obviously, that's not the first game I bought for my own money, but that's one that sticks out in recent enough year that I can remember doing it and which game it was.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That was a fun question. Yeah. Thank you, Connor. We all had to really rack our brains for it. We came up with some interesting
And then this one comes in from Adam. What's the oldest game you can enjoy as is? No mods, no texture packs, no remaster.
That's any game I play. The only game that I played with mods or even texture packs is Skyrim. Maybe Fallout 4.
I mean, oldest game I can think of that I play semi-regularly with no mods, texture packs, or remasters, it's really old. Donkey Kong. I fucking love Donkey Kong. I'll go whenever I go to the arcade. That's the first thing I look for is just good old Donkey Kong.
I've seen him do it. He's not even lying. Dalton, you're next because my answer's the worst.
I mean, I've played some of the early Ultima games and they don't bother me. Like, you know, to me, graphics are a great addition to like if they look fantastic, that's cool. But if they don't, that's fine too, because it's like I'm all about the story and the gameplay.
Yeah, like, I'm definitely a gameplay boy. Like, have you ever watched me stream like old NES games? Obviously, I'm not playing remasters here.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, man, I don't know. To the point that, like, for instance, when I was playing Wonder Boy, when me and Ryan did Wonder Boy for the show, I played a lot of that game in the mode that was the Sega Master System graphics and sound, you know, as opposed to the new one, which made me want to buy it for my Sega Master System. Then I saw the price and I was like, well, that might can wait a little while.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
Well, at least all y'all picked games that were made after you.
Donkey Kong, come on now.
Personally, I'm in a maze of twisty little passages all alike. Adventure or Colossal Cave from 1976. It doesn't have graphics, so you don't need graphics. But I enjoyed trying to play that game. I've never finished it. I just open it up every now and then, try to map it out as best as I can, and then get kind of frustrated and give up because it's still pretty tough. Like,
there's a version of Colossal Cave on GOG. I just don't know what it is.
It's like it's a text event. I mean, you should be able to find the game available for free at this point, because I don't even think the developers.
Well, I think this might be like a graphical version of it, and then I think that because that was Roberta Williams' joint, right?
No, but Roberta Williams and Ken Williams are working on like a VR remake of it.
That's right. She really enjoyed that game, is what it was. Like, they had like Colossal Cave and Adventure. Yeah.
It was like a big influence on early Sierra.
Okay. Cool.
I think that's like the earliest game I've played and enjoyed.
All right. This question's from Adam as well, who asks, what are your gaming New Year's resolutions? Like, for example, if you want to play a certain amount of games or something like that. Could dive right into that because I have a really stupid one that I plan on doing this year. It's not anything too intense, but what I want to do is play every Sonic game that I own on Steam that I haven't played yet. So that's not a whole lot, but it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. So like, and there's only one good one out of the bunch that I haven't really played yet. So it's Sonic CD, which I played a little bit. I don't really love, but I want to try to beat it for once. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. Sonic Lost World.
Oh no.
And Sonic Generations. I'm going to save Sonic Generations for last.
Okay. What about you, Jeff? You got any gaming resolutions?
I guess the one that it just popped into my mind now, and thanks to Willie with Gnosis, I guess I can start playing some more Freespace, all these fan-made games, and also I'll add it to my list. I want to play Star Fox Event Horizon.
Hell yeah! I highly recommend Derelict. I think that was like my favorite one because they're like this cool combination of like horror. Like it really did a great job of expanding on the original like Freespace vibes.
Well, I look forward to that.
All right, was that it?
What about you?
I say this every now and then, but I'd like to reach 1,500 in chests this year. On let's say on Rapid on chess.com.
Okay. I have one for me, and I have one for the show.
Okay.
All right. So the one for me is I would like to play Trails in the Sky second chapter. Okay.
Oh yeah.
For the show or even just fucking in my own time. But like I'm at the point now where I'm like, I need to know what happens next.
We're gonna do it for the show. Calm down. You could probably recommend it for the next game.
I could, but I'm not going to.
Fair.
But the one for the show, and we kind of hashed this out on off air, but I'm gonna put it here in paper, so we are committed to it, right? So we have a game of the year that we're going to do next year.
Oh yeah,
because
nice.
I do not want to try to force you guys to cram Persona 5 into say a month, right? Because there's a lot of game there. So what I want to do is, starting in January, like from January to December, like we can play Persona 5. Now we might do like a first impressions episode 1 week, or for a thing, but then we're just not going to touch it again until we either beat it or we're all close enough that we feel like we can do a good episode on it. And that's just my want for the year.
It's done. It's happening.
So
Persona 5 as background radiation for the year. Love it. If we play an hour a week, we should get most of the way through.
Absolutely.
That's not at all a scary way to put it.
Those are mine. All right, what's the next question?
All right, our next one. What were your go-to games as a preteen?
Preteen?
I'm going to say anywhere from 10 to 14. I think it's fine. Yeah.
So tween instead. Dude, Nate, I feel like we played a shitload of Mortal Kombat 2. Like, honest to God.
That was not exactly what I was thinking of. It depends. The one I'm thinking of was Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Oh, that's also a great pick. Dude, we spent a load of time just like in summers especially, just bashing each other's brains in fighting games, learning each other's best characters and being like, I gotta learn how to beat his Sagat. I gotta learn how to beat his,
Yeah. I'm looking forward to you getting Street Fighter 5 installed and me and you just getting on voice one night and just going stupid on it. Another one that...
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds awesome. Heck, I hope you downloaded yesterday's Epic game, right? You did?
Yeah, I got it, okay, cool. But another one that sticks out to me, and I know Dalton can hard relate to this one, I was 12 to 13 when this game was... We were playing this one a lot, was Final Fantasy VIII.
Yes, bitch!
So, like, between those two fighting games and Final Fantasy VIII, like, those were, like, my preteen era games.
The ones that immediately jumped out to me thinking in my head, because I'm thinking like preteen, teen, that was probably around PS2 era for me. So I'm thinking like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot. What was hold on, let me peer over at my PS2 games. Oh, Guitar Hero. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, let me just run through this real quick. I got Clone Hero set up. right? I ordered an adapter
Yes.
for my Red SG PS2 Guitar Hero controller, and it works. It works. I need to probably fiddle with the calibration just a slight bit because it's an older controller. But let me go ahead and tell you guys something. I did not realize that people were as good at making these things as they are. And I also did not realize that Guitar Hero was pretty nice for not throwing most of the type of shit that I listen to at people. I'm going to stream it in Discord whenever I have a moment to breathe from work. And I just want y'all to just laugh at the amount of notes that are flying at me while I'm trying to do like Soulbound by the Unleash the Archers or like War March by Andy James or, you know, some Animals as Leaders. It's just an insane amount of notes. One of the songs I did had like 1,900 notes.
Yep.
It's
not easy.
Right. Clone Hero charters get really intense too because they know people have been playing this game for like 15 years too, so they don't feel any shame in like charting every note of a Dream Theater, John Petrucci masterpiece of
and what's
nightmares.
amazing.
I remember how badass I felt when I beat Bark at the Moon on Expert. Yeah.
For the first time, yeah.
When Megan was here, me and her were playing together, and it had this thing where like I was having to download songs and then go in and look because a lot of the songs I were downloading only come with an expert. There is no medium, easy, or hard. But luckily, like the My Chemical Romance songs I downloaded for her had easy, medium, hard, and expert, so she was able to do her thing. But
you could probably play Dead on expert. I believe in you,
dude.
Aside from the solo, that's
I don't know if it did that for anyone else, but when Willie said that and then gave that grin, his camera completely pixelated for a second, and then it came back, and it was like just perfect timing where he smiled at the pixelate, come back.
Yeah, I feel like Guitar Hero for me was more of a college age thing. Like I was going ham on that in college, and like I was probably one of the best people I knew at the game at that time with the friend group that I played with, and it was just always like, I'm the best. And now I look around at like anybody playing Clone Hero on stream. I'm like, nope, I am Garbo.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff? What were some of your teen, preteen, tween games?
The games that come to mind are Serious Sam. You know, playing that with my brothers a lot, as we've discussed in the past. A game that I think I might have asked you to put on the list. Heroes of Might and Magic 3.
Yeah, I own that.
Okay, I think the home games are on the list.
Final Fantasy 9.
Nice.
Oh, big.
Willie, do you have any that we didn't talk about already? Yeah, okay.
No, I let in.
All right, the next one comes from Adam. What is your favorite turn-based game and favorite action-based game? That's really hard. I can answer favorite turn-based game super fast, which is Dragon Quest XI.
Final Fantasy 9.
Persona 5.
God, board game boy, let's go. It's technically turn-based. It works.
I just like, it is. You have to take turns. If you don't, it's a really weird game. Just chucking stones at the ground.
I don't know how to answer this. Favorite action-based game.
So I think he means like action RPG.
I don't know if that was meant to be like action RPGs. So like, what is the border between action RPGs and just adventure game though? Because like I've heard people describe Dark Souls as an action RPG, and like Zelda as an action RPG, but I tend to think of those as I don't know. Well, it's
at least in Dark Souls you can level your character. Zelda, that's an argument that
I don't think it is. I think that's an adventure game or adventure puzzle.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I just like where's the line? It's complicated. Like action RPG is a large line.
You earn experience, and that's how you upgrade your character. I consider that an action.
Okay, in that case, my favorite action RPG is Baseball Stars.
Mine is Borderlands 2.
That's a good answer.
Ooh, that's actually a really that's a legit pick. Yeah.
I have two, but they're kind of different because one's JRPG and one's Western.
I was gonna say,
it's not Oblivion. Is it in GU Idol?
It's not Oblivion.
Huh.
It's not in GU Idol. So it's a toss-up between, and we're talking strictly just like action-based game, combat, all that's great. Okay, so it's the JRPG one is Kingdom Hearts. Mm-hmm. Tremendous.
Okay, yeah.
Western, I'm hard pressed to find something that plays better sword play wise than The Witcher 3, in my opinion.
Okay. Also, if I needed to go back an actual action-y RPG that I like the action RPG elements of a lot, I think I'm actually going to go with Xenoblade. Okay. I actually thought that was a really fun game that kind of balanced the cooldown management of a MMO with like the RPG style.
I'm just struggling to come up with any that I've actually played that I would consider a real action RPG. So here's my fingers crossed that I like Nier Automata.
I was going to say, don't make me throw easy at me, boy. Because I will.
Playing Nier.
They just said say you liked Grim Dawn. We're good.
Yeah. That works. Diablo.
Let's go there.
Next question.
All right. And then what's your favorite style? This is from Fenris, sorry. What is your favorite style of turn-based combat?
Ooh, I have an answer for this immediately. I actually really loved the switchy, action-y, like you could switch out characters, you could do a lot of management, but it was ultimately turn-based style with the ATB of Final Fantasy X-2. I thought that game was incredibly well built in how it structured its turns. And I thought, I really loved Trails in the Sky FC as well, because it had a similar bar where you could also push characters back. But I love the fact that you could, swap... Wait, no, I think I'm thinking of 10-1, actually, because you could swap characters out in 10-1 live on the fly. Yeah, I'm thinking of 10-1, actually. Okay, I guess I'm thinking Final Fantasy X.
I guess. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he mentioned my answer, which is Trails in the Sky FC. I just love the way that you can kind of manipulate the battle. And I've heard Grandia is a lot like that too.
Grid-based stuff like that a little bit. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would have to go with Final Fantasy IX, because that was the first game I ever played in the franchise. And if I was able to understand it fairly easily and quickly, so, I mean... I can't think of anything else that tops it.
Yeah, and that's a pretty classic RPG style that I think is familiar to most RPG players. Like Final Fantasy IX is not very different from most other traditional RPGs. Like Dragon Quest XI has that same style, I feel like, as well. And that's the style that I'm most drawn to as well. It's just like that kind of classic turn-based RPG that... I feel like really started to come together in the Super Nintendo era and kind of persisted on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think in the Super Nintendo where you got that action, like the bar powering up and you have a little time pressure in it that you didn't have on the NES games for the most part. I could be wrong. There could be an NES antecedent that I don't know about, but I associate that with like Final Fantasy IV, with games like
I feel like Dragon Quest XI did a really good job going back to. I just really love that style.
Oh yeah, I recommend Dragon Quest XI to anyone who's like, do you wish that we were back in like the old, no pressure, take your time, make your decisions day of RPGs? Yeah. You will love Dragon Quest XI.
All right, and then this last question, we're rounding the end, so we're gonna have to beg for some questions soon. This one comes in from Adam. Hopefully not too late. Definitely not too late. What are you talking about, Adam? But what has been your most played game this year?
Ooh, how do I...
It does. Sort by hours played.
Does Steam have the option to
That's
sort by...
That's how I keep my Steam at all time.
Sort by total.
Oh, I don't know how you yearly. Guilds have to do the math on that. I'm not going to count NGU, because that has actually taken over the most hour played on Steam.
Dude, that's
why I
don't count my idle games.
NGU is technically now my third most played game on Steam.
Yep.
Right, I agree.
But it fucking doesn't count,
so,
right?
Technically, the game that I played the most this year, and I looked on Switch earlier, this is more than I played in Pokemon Scarlet, more than I played in Pokemon Legends Arceus, which are the two games I played the most of on Switch this year. Yakuza 0 with 87 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm just trying to go through my...
but you know what might beat it, actually? There's two games that might beat it.
I think
was going to say
Rocket
Brawlhalla
League
and Rocket League very well could be over Yakuza 0.
Ooh, Rocket League.
Yeah.
It's either Rocket League or Hades for me.
Oh, Hades, that's a good one.
Hades, yeah. I didn't play as much of Hades in the later half of this year, but... I might have to go back and play some more of that, because I want to get more of that before we get to Melanoe's.
I don't remember.
What's her name? Melanoe?
Melanoma?
The new character?
It's real cancer.
Yeah, you load up the game, it's like, if you were someone you know have been infected by mesothelioma, you could be entitled to compensation.
Yeah.
Mine, I mean, there are some things that came kind of close to it, but it's not from this year. Sitting at 305.2 hours.
WWE 2K22.
WWE 2K22.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. You played a lot of My GM. You've been sending us your fun characters and matches and stuff. You played a lot of New Japan.
Fire Pro.
Or not
I've been playing a lot of Fire Pro. That's catching up. Fire Pro is at 183.7 hours. Fire Pro Wrestling World. Yeah.
World.
Yeah. And I realized, so there are 2 DLC that I don't have, right? The Stardom DLCs. And I was looking through my characters that I downloaded from mods, and so many of them are grayed out because I don't have those 2 DLC. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go wishlist those. Next time they go on sale, I'll fucking buy them so I can use my characters. But yeah, I had just quickly, playing Fire Pro, I had a string of like 6 or 7 shows in a row that Taz was just like putting out like 100% evaluation matches. Like he won the title, and then every defense he was getting a perfect score for their matches. I was like, yeah, attaboy.
Love Taz, man. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I love a suplex man wrestler. If you're just a suplex guy, I immediately love you. Like Scott Steiner, suplex guy. Kurt Angle, suplex guy. Brock Lesnar, suplex guy. Taz, suplex guy. Rick Steiner, suplex guy. I love suplex guys. They please me. Saturn was a suplex guy. Loved him.
Oh man, so I guess before house cleaning, then the only thing left is to give my host pick, eh?
Or you can do that now, or you can save it.
That's right. What are we doing next time?
For the end of the
after the house cleaning? Yeah. Let's get some more suspense.
Wait, save it for the end of what?
Oh, I was going to say
house
save it for
cleaning, and then we'll
the awards episode.
Give them suspense. Give them a reason to listen.
No,
to
you're
it.
right. We should do it now. Now I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Go for it.
Okay. Then drum roll. So the game that I was going to pick, I was thinking about doing Nexamon, right? Decided against it though. Because there's been a game that's been on my mind. It's been on my mind for a while. I've been looking for a reason to play it. I haven't had a reason to play it. And now I have a reason to play it. So boys, seeing as that there was the announcement that there is a new game in this series being developed by Crystal Dynamics and being published by Amazon Games, we are going to dive into the reboot of Tomb Raider. Lara Croft, we're going to see her origin story in the first Square Enix Tomb Raider game. So I'm not going to make you go quite so far back as the older Tomb Raiders yet.
Keyword.
But we're going to play some Tomb Raider. Yes, and I believe that we all got all of those free on Epic last year, right? I think so.
Yeah, make sure you tell me
I'll have to double check, but I do
the exact name of the one we're going to play.
Oh, it's just Tomb Raider.
Okay.
It's just Tomb Raider. We don't have to get into the confusing ones till the next 2.
Marvel's Tomb Raider Remastered.
All right. Well, then that just leaves the house cleaning. So let me pull the show notes back up, even though I should know all this stuff by heart by now. If you would like to do us a favor, leave us a review. If you think we've earned 5 stars, give us 5 stars. If you haven't, give us 5 stars and tell us why we don't deserve that rating that you gave us. If you would like to join the Discord, you can find us at bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. Come join the fun. More and more people are joining. It's a great crew in there. Everybody's super, what's the word I'm looking for? Welcoming. Jesus Christ. Everyone's super welcoming and nice. Come hang out with us. Linked to the website, you can find us at bit.ly/The Steam Machine. I almost said TSMP Discord again. bit.ly/The Steam Machine Podcast, capitalized phonetically. The website's behind, and that's my fault for work being as busy as it has been, but I'm trying. Shout out to Yabs Pod, yet another BS podcast, not safe for work. Shout out to the JRPG Report, very safe for work. If you want to get a shirt, tsmpproductions.threadless.com. We're going to try to start getting some new designs up there soon when I have some free time after the holidays, I promise. And if you like the music from the show, nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. Check us out over there. Update on the Fantasy League. I won that motherfucker. Ain't nobody catching me. So let me just go ahead and put that out there. Number 1. Yeah, boy. Yeah, basically Jeremy said it to the point where he was just like, I took my ball and went home. And I'm like, yeah, because you knew that you weren't going to catch me when like 4 of your games weren't coming out. Fuck you. But yeah, so the next time we be chatting. Oh, wait, no. What am I doing? Patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, donate $1. You get your episodes early and ad-free. If you donate $10 or more, you can get your name read on each and every episode, like these wonderful people right here. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of Juniper. Jeff, the original expendable Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube himself. Sir Adam, shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction. James, the Steam Machine Hall Monitor Hall. And Team Retrogue. Go check him out on YouTube. So, we're not getting old pyramid titties, but we are getting some Lara Croft on the next. Well, the next episode is probably going to be the Steamy Awards. We'll hash that out. Either the next episode is going to be Tomb Raider or the Steamy Awards.
Next one is the Steamy Awards.
Okay.
The next episode is the Steamy Awards. So
we'll be back after the Steamy Awards with some Tomb Raider. Jeff, thank you very much for staying up late and joining us for another episode, my good sir. And why am I telling you guys goodbye? We will catch you all next time on the Steam Machine Podcast. As always, guys, take it easy.
Dive, dive, dive! Hit your burners, pilot!
Yeah!
That was a special joke just for Jeff.